Hello and welcome back, and I'm going to be talking about water today. For those that watch along, you'll know that we've had problems with our electrical setup based on the information Renogy gave, so we're now going to move on to water whilst I battle that out with Renogy. We've already got our tank in. For those that watch along, you'll have seen we've got that 155 litre tank sat over the axle, and then we're going to have the out to a shut-off valve, and we're going to have the standard filter, gone for the Shore King 7 and a Fiamma accumulator, and then another shut-off. And from that point on, I haven't quite decided how we're going to do it yet. I'm going to talk you through both of my ideas. My plan is to have a water system that will also incorporate an engine preheat. So on this one, you can see that I've got 4 actuator valves here, and they're 3-way ball valves, and what they'll allow me to do is open and close the system to move heat around to different places. So when we're driving, we can open these and create a pass-through, which would then send hot water or hot engine coolant round the system and through the plate heat exchanger. When the engine comes up to temperature, this pump on the tank side would switch on, and that would circulate the water from the tank through the plate heat exchanger and exchange heat from the engine. So that would effectively give us free heat as we drove. The second way of heating would be once we're stopped, and if we were stopped for a couple of days and we needed to heat the tank up, we could close the engine loop off, and this would be resting position, but we could start the diesel heater and the pump on the closed circuit here. That would just be a closed coolant circuit with its own header tank, expansion tank, and that would again pass the heated water through the heat exchange and into the circuit here, and once that pump's on, that would then circulate the heated water back through and into the tank, heating the tank up again. The third way is obviously to use the element in the tank, which wouldn't require any pumps on, and they're the 3 ways we could heat water without having to have gas. The engine side, I could preheat the engine in a couple of ways. The first one is I open the loop for the engine coolant, and I turn on the diesel heater and put some air past some warm air past the heat exchange here, and that would send heat around the coolant side of the system and preheat the engine whilst we got ready in the morning. Now, if for whatever reason the diesel heater didn't work and we needed heat in the system, we've got a big 460 amp hour lithium battery, so we could then turn that energy back into hot water through the element, and then use the pump on the tank side to circulate water through the plate heat exchanger, and then the pump on the engine side would circulate water through the engine, and that would use that to preheat the water. So we've got a couple of ways of preheating the water. You could do this manually with buttons, or you could use a little Arduino. An Arduino is a little microprocessor board that can be programmed with if or and or statements. You write what's called sketches, and you upload them to the board, and that would allow you to write a simple program where you had a temperature sensor on the engine loop, and you would write a program saying, if the temperature in the engine loop reaches 90 degrees, open the engine loop and turn on the tank side pump, and that would then allow the water to pass through the heat exchange and heat the tank while you were driving for free heat. So the other way I looked at it was to have a calorifier. Now, I looked at both systems because calorifiers are quite expensive in comparative terms to water tanks. I mean, for example, that water tank I had on the screen then, you can get the 10 litre version of that delivered for £50, whereas a calorifier for the 22 litre one, you're talking closer to £500. So we've got the calorifier here. And again, you've got your loops, so you basically have a closed engine coolant glycol loop here, which is its own entity, and then you have the engine loop. Now you have a pump on the engine loop so you can run it back when you want to preheat the engine. So mainly that will just be circulating round, and when it came up to temperature, the pump would start on the calorifier side, and that would pass heat through and into the calorifier, and that would then store excess heat from the engine that would just be wasted into the tank. And then you've always got hot water. This one's a 22 litre we're looking at for this one. Now when you are working backwards, the calorifier has an element as well. In fact, the tank we're looking at has two elements. It has a 12 volt element and the 240 volt element. So when you're working backwards, this is always its own closed loop. And that means that every time you want to preheat the engine, you are using the reserved energy of the tank, as well as either having the diesel heater on or the elements to heat that water, and then that would exchange back into the engine side, and you just switch the pump on. And again, you can have a little control system that does that, all off buttons. But yeah, they're the two water systems we're looking at. And then obviously out of the water side, on both systems, we've got an expansion vessel on the hot side to allow for pressure variance in the heated water. The calorifier would keep the mains water separate from the glycol, because that has a coil running through the inside there that runs off the in and the out, all built onto the system. And that will go out and feed the hot side, and then this side will go out and feed the cold side. So that's the water system we're looking at. I think we're leaning towards the calorifier. It's a much simpler system to set up. I can still use a little control board to control it. For example, a four button press, which button 1 was driving, so it's automatically set that when the engine comes to temperature, it then transfers that heat via switching on the pump into the calorifier. And you could leave that in that most days when you're driving and moving, because you'd never have to use the diesel heater or the element to heat the water. I mean, after an hour's driving, the water in the tanks would be warm, so that would be the same for both systems. Button 2 would be the heating on for the heat in the water. Button 3 could be the diesel heater on to send heat back around, and button 4 could be for switching the element on to heat the water to send back around. And you could wire that without any control board. You could just wire that on like switch over relays and so on and so forth. Let us know in the comments below what you think, what you've done with your van, if anyone's done anything similar. I have had a look around. I can't see anyone that's done this before. I don't know why no one's done this before, but it seems quite a reasonable setup to me to use the excess heat off the engine. It's just like using the excess power off the alternator to put charge into your batteries as you drive. If you're driving, you may as well use that's there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you don't subscribe to us, please do like and subscribe and follow along. And if you enjoy this video and you find it useful and you think someone could benefit from them, please share them out. And if you've not seen our electrics videos, I'll link them in the cards now. All the best. Take care. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
In war, there's never an option to